Good evening and bienvenue, my fawn fair rouge raiders. This is your humble narrator, Diomedes Rouge, here to bring you part 10 of What If Bel Was Trained. What if Bel was a Spartan? Come on. Oh yes, this is gonna be good. Because when we last left off, well, as the title said, war began. He had a bit of a powwow with King Xerxes, the one who is giving himself the title of God King, even though he's former adventurer. Granted, he's still powerful. Now, let us join in and see what the guys are doing. As we can see, we're starting here with Bel. And with Bel, well, he is sharpening his blade, examining the map, and thinking, contemplating, as he and his dad go over possible stratagems for the upcoming, event. Battles. Meanwhile, let's just put it this way here. Our good old friend Jace is doing what Jace does, making sure everyone is supplied and making sure he's got a stable line of supplies coming to and from camp. Mainly by splitting his soldiers up between the groups. The Bloody Claws do their work very well. Running different types of, they are the logistics, so running different types of ammunition to the archers, running different types of orders to the others, and making sure generally everyone is within good health, physically and or mentally. Xander, he's setting up defenses along the Goat Pass to ensure that even with the minimal force that they can place there, that it isn't going to be overrun anytime soon. Meanwhile, Lander, he's getting his men riled up, making sure they're thirsty for blood, and making sure that they are ready to roar when the enemy comes. After all, the Black Flame moves as one, as they overwhelm and disintegrate the opponents. Anathea, she mainly is putting up wards of protection around the camps, as well as making her subordinates do the same, to ensure that any, mystics coming from the opponent side won't do any, permanent damage to the place that's keeping their morale up. In addition to that, she's also making sure to assist Jace with the healing. And finally, we have Basil and his, and his wings. And boy, oh boy, does he have a lot on his plate. His primary goal is setting archers up along the ridges, ensuring that they're all covered and have a great line of sight towards anything that will move in their general direction. He's dividing his forces up into three, after all. The first half is going into covering fire for the entire army at the Hell's Gate. The minor part of only 50 troops is going into the Goat Pass to assist with the iron scales, shoring up the defensive line there, making sure that while there is no offense that can be taken place there, well, no grandiose offense, that whatever is there isn't going to fall by any simple means. And the third part, well, that one's sticking with the standard infantry to lob arrows over and, well, pick off heads from afar. Having to keep all three of those in place, it is quite difficult, but he does his best. And as a future king, or future ruler, he does a good job alongside his cousin. Yes, the Pale Dragons. They move independently, but they move as one, to overwhelm and crush their foe. To be honest, if I was Xerxes, I'd be quite scared. Father. What is it, Belle? Do you think this place will provide a good death? Most likely. If nothing else, they have the numbers to try and overwhelm us. We could certainly hope so, then. No way I could talk you into falling back, can I? Not on your life, son. But of course, stubborn old man. Crazy kid. Anyways, shall we get on with this? I believe that the enemy might be coming soon. Oh, what makes you say that? I can feel it. I could feel like we're being watched. And he is most certainly correct. As we cut to, well, King Xerxes' camp. And in his camp, well, tens of thousands of soldiers are awaiting the commands of their leaders, and they're awaiting the commands of their leaders, all the way up to King Xerxes himself, as he is, well, examining the map. As one of his advisors come and states, my lord, what is it? I believe it might be beneficial if we rethink of our plan of attack. Oh? And how so? Well, as you've seen, sir, they've fortified up the Goat Pass. That means we won't be able to go through it nearly as easily, nor can we send a large force of troops through it, considering, well, the soldiers there. Yes. Well, we could try to bombard the mountains. What? Well, if we cause it to collapse in on top of them, there's no way they could fortify it, and we would win by destroying them. And then we'd lose. What do you mean, sire? The reason we're here and fighting over that piece of junk rock is because that piece of junk rock leads straight in to the rest of Greece. simpleton. That piece of junk land is the only thing that separates my empire and my grip from the rest of the entire country. If we fall back, or if we blow up that mountain and bring it down on their heads, guess what happens to that prize? It goes away. And we be forced to divert, wasting more time, money, and lives. What do you mean wasting more lives? The lives we've spent so far haven't been wasted. They are a down payment. If we destroy that mountain range, we no longer have a down payment on that land. We have ruined it. And all the lives that were spent trying to gain it were spent for nothing. Not gonna happen. Well, how about we draw them out into open warfare and then bombard them then? It may work a couple of times. They may get cocky. And they may be cocky enough to try it. Very well. Try and lure them out into the open areas around the open area around the Hell's Gate, as they call it. Once you do, bombard them with magic until they're dead. If there are any still left, repeat and rinse. As you wish, sir. As he goes off and collects a grand army fit for someone of his stature, leading an entire regiment of soldiers, Persian elites, clad in armored plates. Well, I say armored plates. Segments of thin metal sheets attached together onto a very thick hide. Very useful for protecting yourself against slashing damage and blunt force damage. That's not the thing you need to worry about with Spartans, though. And armed with their hide shields and, well, now reinforced heavy leather shields, they march forward, preparing for open combat. As once they reach to, well, the open area in front of the Hell's Gate, they are met with a volley of heavy arrows. And for the most part, those heavy shields do their job, protecting themselves against Basil's regiment. Not regiment. Company. His reinforced arrows pierce through the standard hide ones with ease and, well, impact through the ground. The leather ones, though, they put up a bit more resistance, only piercing halfway through. Still quite a shock, and still injures quite a few of them. However, that's where they get a bit less receptive. As the first thing they start doing is having the Persians start doing is tossing in the fire pots that their alchemists made. Like giant grenades, they hurl them as they shatter upon the first layer of shields from the iron scales. As the liquid ignites and lands on the ground all around them, They do not panic. They do not fear. For as soon as it ignites, and Aliyah kills it all, well, snuffs out the flame with a massive gust that moves through, well, the legs of the infantry, snuffing the fire. I see. They won't be that easy to draw. Very well. Loose! As soon as he says that, the rear of the troops launch their own volleys of arrows, hammering down onto the shields of the iron scales, the standard dragon, and the standard dragon scales. Well, but the metal shields easily absorb the impact, and in their formation, cover from brother to brother. Meanwhile, with Basil's company, once those arrows begin to find their way towards them, they raise their cloaks and absorb the impact of the arrows in them, easily blocking and dissuading them, killing their momentum, as they fire counter volleys, aiming specifically for the archers. And that is when Bell states, "Black Flames, charge!" And in a movement of blinding speed and intense anger, a loud roar erupts, sounding almost like that of a bellowing dragon, spewing forth its massive flames. So too rise Bell's special force of medium-armored skirmishers. As they run and jump across the shoulders and shields of their brethren in the front lines, moving towards the front lines. However, upon that happening, as soon as they leap forward to chase the enemy, a bombardment begins. As large balls of fire are sent down towards them, attempting to kill and exterminate the Black Flames. But as it tries, as the first ball impacts, expecting a large explosion, all that occurs is that it fizzles into nothingness. As the caster who tried it looks around, what the hell? Noticing that in the crowd, for every 10 soldiers, there is one mage one mage in the lines of the enemy, in the lines of the Spartans, in their iron scales. There is one of the shimmering tails, protecting and casting wards, ensuring the survival of all of the troops. And if they thought that the Black Flame was angry before, they roared to life now, charging in a fury, loosing their first spears into the crowd, destroying their front line of this regiment, as multiple become, skewered onto one spear from each of them. They charge, and as Lander would say, I'm going to enjoy piercing your hide and mounting you along the rail, along the trail. You think you can kill our brothers? You're wrong. No one's allowed to do that but us, and even then, we do so with honor. As he begins stabbing more and more, thrusting his secondary spear into, well, plenty of the enemy troop, not allowing anyone that can escape to do so. But before they become too disorganized, he calls them back in for a retreat. As Bel sends forth his scales, the standard dragon scales, his personal troop, to march in front of the iron scales and make a wall, a gate, for the black flame to fall back into. And from that side, they do so with little to no issues, as Xerxes watches. Sir, shouldn't we help? No. This was an evaluation. An evaluation? But sir, that was a willing and expected price. This is war. In war, we must do things we are not, well, happy about. But we must do things for the betterment and to gain knowledge. I sacrificed a pawn. It was that simple. That one pawn brought me knowledge of their tactics, as well as their formations. A very useful pawn indeed. As Xerxes falls back, Bel contemplates. This was too easy. Father. Yes, Bel? The enemy is poking and prodding our new defensive lines. How long until the rest of Athens gets here? I'd say we'd still have about 3 more weeks. 3 more weeks to hold the line. Very well. As Lander and his men approach back in, getting behind the iron scale wall, Bel approaches him and slaps him on the shoulder. Good job. You and your men deserve a rest. No. Huh? We could keep fighting, my lord. Do not even think for one moment that we will take it easy while the rest of our brothers fight on the front. We are here to fight and kill in your name. So come on, Bel. Don't make it that easy on us. Very well. Keep your shield up and my spear sharp. That's my boy. As he gives him a bit of a hug. You truly are a great warrior, Lander. One of the best. I guess Xander can be second best. Shut up, you overgrown popsicle. How the hell does that even make any sense? I don't know, but if you keep on pissing me off, I'm gonna make sure it does by getting a stick up your ass. I'm gonna beat your ass. Bring it on, Twinkle Toes. Twinkle Toes? I mean, you're jumping over the rest of us as if you're some sort of lightweight, so I might as well make sure you get the name as such. Oh, that's it! Easy, both of you. As Bel interrupts. I know you two are brothers, and this is how you show affection, but this is not the time. Right. Sorry. Love you, bro. Love you too. Kick your ass later. Deal. Granted, I'll be kicking your ass. Shut up. Alright. And Aaliyah. Yes? You did good work with the wards, as well as with the quick protection. You were right. Mixing in the shimmering sails with the iron scales was the best course of action. Provide the best defense possible, from magic as well as from physical attacks. Told you. Yes, yes, you did. You most certainly did. Now, next thing we should do is tell your people to focus on, well, half of your people to focus on mid-range bombardments. Mid-range bombardments? The enemy's going to be attacking us soon. When that happens, unleash hell. Oh, I'd rather unleash heaven. What do you mean? Well, simple. Any standard mage can toss a fireball, and you've seen how easy that's taken care of. But as she taps the blade of her sword on her shield, and it begins to glow a bright yellow. Not every mage can deal with lightning. And I'm pretty sure I have more than a few people here who could do so. To call upon the wrath of Zeus. It would be fitting, no? Very well. I'll gladly accept your offer. Xander. Yes, my lord. I'm going to be moving to the front lines with you and your men. What? That's too dangerous. I can't. You don't have a choice in the matter. But, sir, how am I supposed to lead if I'm all the way in the back? No. The next wave of enemies that come will have to go through my blade first. Besides, Cuchulainn made this for me. It would dishonor him if I didn't bloody it at least once in this conflict. Besides, I feel the next wave will be stronger. They know the time limit that's on them. They know how hard they're going to have to press. They know the risks. Jace. Yeah, boss. What's going on? Give the men rations tonight. Double. Double rations? Why? Tell them to eat their fill, but no more than that. I don't need them lethargic. Make sure they're primed and ready, that everyone gets as much water as they need. But most importantly, make sure my shimmering wings get enough arrows to blot out the sun. All right. What type of arrows you want me to bring from the stock? The good ones. But which good ones? They're going to be charging in towards us. Give them the heavy ones. Right? I got that written down. Anything else? Yes. If worse comes to worse, I need you to run. What? What do you mean run? If worse comes to worse, Jace, I need you to fall back to the city and tell them what's transpired. Not happening. Jace, that's not an order I can follow. Do you forget where you met me, Belle? You met me in the pit with the Big Bull and Big Bull Man, who was a few days away from killing and eating me. No way in hell, no way in the pits of Hades am I gonna let you tell me to run away while you, the guy who saved my ass, dies. If you think that's possible, then you obviously don't know me as well as I thought you did. But no buts, Belle. I'm your guy, like it or not, through thick and thin. You ain't getting rid of me that easily. So you better suck it up, Buttercup, 'cause I'm with you for the long haul. And most importantly, someone's gonna keep this place on track. Even my second in command doesn't know a whole lot of math. I swear, you Spartans, you're great at poetry and everything else, but compared to the rest of the Greeks, you are terrible at math. Shut up. It's almost as if you're scared of it. I could still kick you, you know this, right? Oh, I'm sure you could. And then you'd wind up having to run the supplies yourself. Very well, Jace. Just stay safe. Can't promise that either. I'm the supply runner. Which means I gotta put my neck out on the line to make sure everyone else gets everything stocked. So staying safe isn't exactly my highest priority. Jace, nope, not gonna make this easy for you either. You just told me to run away like a little bitch if anything got into trouble. I'm gonna make you regret saying that. Now I'm gonna take every risk I can. Jace, don't you frickin'... I'm messing with you, boss. Relax. Just take a breath. Remember, laugh. Laugh. You are the leader of the Pale Dragons. You are the Pale Dragon. You should not be looking your enemy sternly in the face. You should be laughing at them. You should be laughing and gloating, making sure your people know that they are fine. Very well. Alright, now I gotta get back to work. And with that, Bell moves to the front of the infantry line. And even 3 feet ahead of that, he stands staunch and ready for anything that may come. And as time progresses onwards towards another day and another night, and then another morrow, now a large force of 10,000 strong marches forwards. With it, large bellows of fire are launched towards our Spartan soldiers. As they get closer and closer, the wards hold as they block the impacts. However, the enemy still marches on. When they get within range, lightning strikes, cracking down from the sky, hitting several of them. With each blast of lightning, 15, 20 soldiers on the enemy lines fall. Even more are left in disarray, but it does not stop the march. As they get within range, arrows are let loose as they come down and pierce through the thick shields and the armor of the Persians. But it does not stop. As they get within 20 feet of the main line, Bell tells his men, "Shore up, leave no gaps, take no prisoners, give no mercy, for you will be given none in turn." As he flips his blade around, exposing the 4 foot of steel that he wields in his hand. As he slams it hard, wrapping it against his shield. "We are the pale dragons. We will not let any fall. We will not let you pass. We stand firm, and any who think to challenge me and my men will face the wrath of the dragons." And with that, a luminescent aura ignites around Bell, and then moves on towards his men, giving off a subtle green glow that most of them are used to. "What is this?" the enemy states. "What sort of sorcery is this?" As Xerxes gazes from afar, "I see. A godly boon. Impressive. This may be more fun than I thought. Prepare my private escort. We march now." As Xerxes grabs his axes and moves on towards the field of battle, getting set with each step, having his armor placed upon him. "Sir, what are you talking about?" "Simple. The enemy leader is an adventurer. I plan on exposing him. Pale dragon my ass. He shall see the true might of an empire." But that will have to wait for later. As for now, the first wave of Persian soldiers charges towards the Spartan front line. And the first one up is Bell. As 3 men charge towards him, he does a spiral slash, cleaving them 3 in twain, letting the blood spurt on the ground and coat his blade as more try to follow suit. The iron scales advance forward, wrapping around their leader. With every single push of the enemy, they thrust their spears. With every single attack, raise their shields. And the solid, near poetic movement, the solid thud of the shields ramming forwards, disrupting the enemy attacks, parrying their weaponry, or plain up snapping their bones, followed by the heavy sounds of thrust piercing bodies as their spears and swords impact into their frames of the enemy soldiers, skewering them and then pulled back out as the shields realign. Bell advances, moving through his men, slamming his shield down into any opponent that dare comes in his way. Any sword that dares try to attack it, to try and sunder his armor, is shattered upon his shield. Any arrow that would dare try and harm his being is deflected by his armor. Any armor that would dare try and resist his blow is sundered by his masterworked weapon, cleaving and flaying them in twain, carving a bloody swath through the battlefield. Him and his soldiers, his dragons, stand their ground, as arrows keep being loosed, as lightning keeps being struck, as the black flame roars, as he raises his sword in the air and brings it down. The black flame of the pale dragon rushes forward, as the rear lines lower themselves, giving their brethren an elevated ramp to leap from over the main front line, as whenever Lander lands, he joins with Bell, as they both charge forward into the fray. Lander and Bell fighting side by side as they cleave and pierce through the enemy's defenses, carving a bloody swath through the entire 10,000. As they begin to get enveloped, Bell tells them to circle round and hold, as he brings his shield up in the middle of this circle of black-clad soldiers. He slams his blade against his shield, and with it, a large cloud of arrows falls, piercing and striking the opponents who would dare try and surround the dragon's flame, rendering them useless at best and dead at worst. When all is said and done, the 10,000 soldiers that marched forward that day are cut down to a measly 7,000 within a matter of less than 3 hours. As Bell tells them to fall back, calling forth the iron scales to, fortify and fall back with them, essentially allowing the iron scales to help reabsorb the flames back into the fire, back into the body of the beast. Bell remains, and he gazes towards the enemy, standing on the front lines until the last of the flame have been brought back. As he gazes, he stares at the rest of the 7,000. Some of them are too scared to move forward. Some of them are steadily advancing, trying to catch anyone who would be retreating, only to be met with stab wounds and piercing strikes of their own. As he doesn't even do the respectful thing of keeping an eye on them, Bell just simply turns his back towards them, as if to say, nothing you can do or will do can harm me. Now granted, he may do this to spite his opponents, but he is ever vigilant. For with him turning his back, the soldiers charge from the Persian lines, attempting to stab, attempting to outrush, gang up on, swarm and pin down the leader of these pale dragons, attempting to increase their rank, their structure, only to be met with a loud and crashing thud, as the first man to get close has his skull shattered with a large shield brash, met with a flurry of sword swipes and swings, as the shield has now been turned into a brutal weapon of war, followed with this sword that carves through their arms and armor as if they were made of nothing more than cheap wood, as he begins to stack bodies in his own right. First starting with 10, then 20, going up to 30, then 40. As more and more try to overwhelm him, he smiles. Bell smiles as he begins to coat his body and his armor in a nice, thick, crimson shroud of blood and gore. This point, he is happy. He is beyond ecstatic. He is feeling enthralled with this violence, and he is not willing to give it up. As he keeps slamming his shield into the foe, crushing their bones, crushing their armor, crushing their weapons, with each sword strike, lopping off limbs and heads, piercing through arms and armor. The opposing force eventually tries to move around him, but then they're met with more brutal things, as the iron scales have had enough and have broke off into two teams of 15, led by none other than Xander. And within those two teams, well, Lander's men follow suit, as they act as moving fortresses, the iron scales holding their shields in a perfect circle, moving and advancing forward, as the black flames act as those moving fortresses' turrets. Any type of enemy that gets too close is immediately met with a javelin to whatever body part or extremity is covered, as they advance and wrap around Bell. A solid 30 strong iron shield mixed in with a solid 20 strong black flame, as Xander and Lander tell him, "All right, that's enough fun. Come on, Bell, let's fall back. You've been out here for too long. We need our head." Right. Sorry. Got too excited there. As they keep up this plan of throwing javelins and guarding blows, any that manage to get closer than that are met with the iron scale spears or the black flame spears, as they pierce and rend the armor clean. Once back, Bell, you good? Yeah, I'm fine. Just got a little excited. Yeah, but don't let your guard down too soon. Oh, yeah. The enemy's marshaling an even bigger wave, and it looks like Xerxes is leading the charge. Good old shiny bastard. Shiny? Yep. He's got a full-on set of golden armor. You're kidding me. Golden armor? Probably just gold-leafed. You know. No one would be stupid enough to wear actual gold. Fair point. Are these dual-wielding axes? Granted, that armor does look super heavy, so it might actually be a fun fight. And with this, folks, I'll be calling it a video. And I hope you have fun time and I hope you enjoyed. Bye for now.